Hi, Lynton here, and this is Sketch and Tell, and this is part 4 of a series of videos that I'm doing called the Divinity of Dogs, where I'm looking at different types of dogs and asking myself, what can they tell me about the character and the presence of God in our lives, especially as we are facing an unknown certainty and an unknown future. What is God going to be like with us? The dog that I'm going to be talking about today is an amazing dog. It is the super dog of the dog family, and it is the Alsatian, or the German Shepherd. Now, before I tell a few stories, I thought that we might just have another art lesson and paint a picture of the Alsatian, but do it in a slightly different way. I thought that we might try a cartoon style. So if you can get your art materials, and maybe just pause right now and then get ready. I'm going to do this step at a time. You can stop it at any point and catch up if I'm going too quickly. But the first thing we'll do is we will start with the shape. And the Alsatian is known for its very noble and chiseled face. So the first thing I will do is do a shape that's kind of like a rectangle. That's going to give us, instead of a round shape, it's going to give us that very distinctive chiseled shape of the Alsatian. And then the second very distinctive thing about the Alsatian is the ears, which are very pointy. So we'll go for one ear there and the other ear there. It's very interesting when they are a puppy, their ears flop down, which make them look very cute. But once they get to adulthood, they stand straight up. Let's put in the eyes, do a couple of circles, and the nose around about there, and the mouth will give our Alsatian a smile. They always love to kind of hang their tongue out, so we'll just put their tongue out. And we'll do a couple of lines from under that eye down to that edge of the mouth and to there, which gives us that snout. Let's do another shape quickly under the neck. This is going to be part of the very hairy part of the Alsatian. They actually come in different coats. Some are very short, some are long hair. This will be sort of a long-haired Alsatian. So let's put a little bit of suggestion of some hair like that. Now we come to the body, and this is the tricky bit. We'll do a back, and then we'll come around like this and do the chest. So a line down there, that's the hind part of the Alsatian, under the tummy, and around for the chest. Let's put a little bit of marking on our coat of the Alsatian. They do come in all different sorts of colours, but I'm going to just do mine in two browns, a light brown and a dark brown. The tail is quite large, so let's put a nice big tail up like that. And again, I'll just put a little bit of marking where I'm going to just have the two browns in there. Now this is probably the tricky bit. Again, it's the back legs. So we will do two lines like that, and then down for our paw on the bottom, and then we'll do another leg over. This is the leg on the other side. We'll do a leg like that. And then up the front, we'll again have two lines down like this, and a paw, and then the other leg is on that side there. Now remember, with cartoon figures, you can make them all different sorts of shapes, but let's add a little bit of colour. And as I originally said, I'm going to use two browns, so I'll begin with a sort of an orangey tan colour. So we'll just start to colour in the ears and the head. I'll just work my way around the eyes. I'm actually leaving a little bit of a dark almost like a dark set of glasses around the eyes, because they do have distinctively darker marks around the eyes as well as on the muzzle, which I'll just put a little bit of brown here and leave the muzzle dark as well. Let's go under here for under the neck, around the tongue. Don't forget to put the long hair in. And then, as I'm doing this, I just want to tell you a couple of things about why Alsatians are the most popular breed in the world. And the first thing is heroism, bravery is their hobby. This is what they love doing. They will take a bullet for you. They will run through the wilderness to get help for you if you are injured. They will go into a burning building to rescue you, or jump into a raging river to pull you out. They are just, as I said, the super dog of all the dogs. Let's continue a little bit of brown. I'll go down into the front paws. Again, you might like to paint. I'll just do that one there because the other one is going to be darker because it's the inside of the foot, or the paw there. Let's do that around here, and then I'll just mention also that Alsatians, work is the reason they live for. They have amazing amounts of energy, volcanic. They can just explode and just keep going. And because of that, they need some really, really big challenges in life, and they love to be set a challenge and to do it, and they'll give their all for it, and they will do it until it's completed. And with that in mind, their, I guess, most important job is you. They want to protect you, and they again will lay down their life to protect you, and they will do whatever it takes. So we'll just keep that in mind as we again go down. Let's put a little bit of this colour into the tail, and then I will finish off with a darker brown, and we might just put a little bit of that around the snout, around the eyes, down the muzzle, and along the back. Here we go. And there's a lot more you could add to this in detail. I'm just doing this very quickly. A little bit up here on the tail, a little bit here on the inside of the legs, and there we have our Alsatian. Now, because I like to do the head of a dog and put a lot of detail in, I've actually done another painting which I will open up very soon. But before, I just realised I haven't done the tongue. Let's just put that red tongue in here. Here we go. And I'll just underline the smile. I'm now going to show you another painting that I have spent more time on of the Alsatian, and I'm going to point to something which for me is the big standout quality of the Alsatian. Even though I have talked already about their bravery and their courage and their commitment to protect you, they're intelligent. There's one part which I haven't mentioned that is their best quality, and it is this: their schnozzle, their nose. These dogs, apart from the beagle is number one, but the Alsatians are the best sniffing dog around. I don't know how they measure those little receptors, those scent receptors that we have and dogs have, but I have read that Alsatians have scent receptors up to 225 million. That's 100,000 more than us. That they can smell 100,000 times more than us. It means that if I took a sock, a smelly sock of yours, and I waved it under his nose. He would first of all go, "Argh." And then if I ran off and went, say, 3 kilometres out into the bush and buried your sock, say 12 metres under the ground, and left it for a week, and then got your other sock and asked him to go and find that lost sock, he would do it. They can smell things that are unbelievably impossible for us to smell. If there's one little grain of sugar in a whole truckload of salt, they can find or they can smell where it is. And that is why these dogs are used by the police. When they go in search and rescue teams, if a building has collapsed, if there's been an avalanche, if someone's lost, these are the dogs that they bring and take with them to find where those people might be buried or trying to hide or have gone. It's also why, and I am going to mention something here which you might not realise, but I go into prisons sometimes and I take my art and my stories into prisons and I work with the people who are there to just try and bring a little bit more colour into their day and to help them see things from a different perspective. Now, things have changed a lot over the years and it's a lot more high tech now. But it wasn't all that long ago. I can remember going to an old prison, and as usual when you check in, it's pretty difficult. You've got to give all your details, you've got to make sure you've got nothing in your pockets. They count all my pastels, they count the paper, and then they said, "We'd like you to go into a side room for us, please." And I went in, they shut the door, and another door opened, and in came a guard with an Alsatian in tow. And I had to stand there very still as this Alsatian started to sniff around me. And of course, he was sniffing for any concealed drugs that I might be trying to sneak into the prison. But for me, it was a very uncomfortable experience having that nose up close and personal. And I was just hoping like crazy that I hadn't sort of rubbed against anyone who might have been carrying drugs. But I managed to get in okay. But that feeling kind of stuck with me. And I'd like to link this with our sense of God's presence in our lives. And it might seem a really strange connection, but I'm going to do it in this way. As I was thinking about where I was going in life and I was making a choice and a decision, and that's when I started thinking about dogs and their different qualities. As I thought about the Alsatian, it was almost if I just sensed God saying, "Lynton, it doesn't matter where you go, and it doesn't matter what you end up doing. I'll be with you. But the more important thing is not where you are, but who you are. It's what you are like inside, your character. And it's what you are like in your relationships with those around you. That is what God is really keen about. And keen about transforming us and changing us from the inside out." Now again, I am trying to be honest here, but I think all of us know that it's easy to live a double life, on the outside to project an image of ourselves and to pretend that everything's okay, but inside things can be very different. And it can even go deeper than that. We can be holding on to things and we can be attached to things that are not life-giving and not healthy. We can be engaged in selfish habits that we might not even be aware of at the time, or if someone points it out, we get very angry and try to justify them. We might be just wanting to hide and cover up areas in our life that we feel embarrassed about, or we feel ashamed about, or even guilty about. As we journey with God, it doesn't happen straight away, but bit by bit, there are those moments where I've sensed someone sniffing around, and wanting to uncover those parts of my life that I'm trying to cover up and keep hidden. And I know that that presence, even though it's very, kind of uncomfortable, it's God's presence. And he's doing it because he cares about me and he cares about who I am. And that opening up those areas of my life to the light is a challenge for me to become more real, to be more complete and to be more whole, to be more loving and more compassionate, to be more genuine, to be more the person that God wants me to be. But it does involve those moments when you sense that something or someone is sniffing around. And I believe that's a big part of the journey with God. But when you do open up and you step into the light, you're not diminished in any way. You don't lose anything. You actually become more full of light and love. And that shame and the guilt and the fear disappears. And you become more the person that God wants you to be. So as we think about Alsatians, I'd like you to have a colourful day. Thank you.